Hello friends, I'm Kathy Rotes. Thank you for joining me today to think differently. Our topic today is my 2023 Word of the Year, value. If you're watching on the video, I paint my word every year on a canvas. So here's my painting for this year. Value has been my word. Have you ever heard of picking a word of the year? Well, if you haven't dived into this habit, definitely go back and listen to podcast episode number 71. I'm going to reference a lot of different episodes today, so go into the show notes and you'll find the links to everything that I'll be talking about. Well, my word for this year is value. Every word that I've ever picked always takes a few different angles. There's so many different ways to look at every word. So here are some of the questions I've been asking myself throughout the year. First, what are my personal values? What are some words to define my personal values? Second, what about my business? Unity Consulting. What are Unity Consulting's value words? Then third, how can I add value to others? And four, how do I add value to others? There's so many different angles to this one word. I've really been learning and pondering on these questions all year long. Part of me feels like, why am I taking so long to really figure this out? But the other part of me says, it does take time to figure out. I've been changing my answers throughout the whole year as I dive deeper into this powerful exercise. Many growth and development exercises that are recommended, they're not easy. They're really hard. They take time to think about, but also I find myself continually learning. Anything that's written or published with the word value in it, I've been absorbing, I've been consuming. So where am I today? October 20th, 2023. Where am I with my word value? I'm about 99% confident that I've figured out what my personal value words are and the values of my business. The reason that I'm so confident is because I can prove it. Well, thanks to a podcast episode I just listened to on the Maxwell Leadership Executive podcast. It's episode number 258, and again, that episode is going to be linked here in this podcast if you want to dive in and listen as well. But I'm going to share with you some things that I learned in this episode. First of all, I learned that we need to align and live out our values. Our values have to align with everything that we do, and we really have to live them out. Second, values are going to drive our behavior. They guide my decision making. With all of that, I've also understood that I know what my values are. There's a lot of words out there. There's a lot of options that I can choose from. I know what they are. They're in me. Now, there is a part of me that asks, is it okay not to have the good values on my list? There are some words that, well, gosh, I feel everybody should have that as their value. For example, the word family or the word fun or even faith. What if I don't have one of these words on my list? What if it doesn't come up to be the top three? Well, we can justify our values by our actions. So I need to look for evidence in my actions and my results. When I think about the value word family, my family is very important to me. I love my family. I love my husband. I love my kids. I love my parents, my entire family. I have so much love. But family is not one of my value words. And I know that because of my actions. I haven't always prioritized family over work or family over events. Last winter, I missed my daughter's college graduation because I was on a service trip. That was completely by mistake and didn't look at my calendar properly, but that's just an example. Also, I worked full time when my kids were growing up. I chose to send my kids to daycare. I chose to work my side gig over attending concerts. I chose it in a way because financially I had to, but it was my choice. It was my choice. Well, what are my value words? I'm glad you asked. My personal value words are challenge, health, efficient, empower, and faith. With every one of these words, I can go and give you a tagline or a deeper definition, and I can show you examples of how each of these words are in me every day with every action that I do. And I think if I were to put these words in order of maybe my strongest value, efficient would be up at the top, maybe even number one. Here's why. My brain is wired for efficiencies, and my actions show it. Did you listen to last week's podcast? Number 164. It was called Boost Your Efficiency with these expert tips and tricks. I mean, in that episode, I tell you in detail how this efficient brain works and how I'm constantly trying to be more efficient. I share examples of how my actions show the value. Here's another example of efficiency in action. A new, efficient online learning program is live and ready for you. It's called Efficiency Hack Number 1, Mastering Keyboard Shortcuts. Are you a quick and accurate typer, or do you kind of hunt and peck? Now, do you agree that if you learned how to properly type, you could actually save yourself time and frustration? And you'd probably look better while you're typing. Well, I'm not really here to teach you how to type. Instead, I'm here to teach you how to use the tool that you likely use often, and that's the computer keyboard. There is some hidden keyboard magic behind many of the keys on the keyboard. Once you know what that hidden magic is, then you will perform the magic, just like a master musician performs magic on a piano. I mean, think about it. When you watch a pianist play, they look beautiful. They don't move their hands over each other, right? They don't stumble their fingers. They know how to use the piano as a tool. They know how to stretch their fingers. They know how finger number 3, which is your middle finger, can stretch all the way to the 5th key. That makes your pinky able to stretch 8 keys, which is a whole octave. You know, when you master the keyboard, you will be efficiently using the tool, and you will look like a masterful musician. So you can click on the link below for this online learning program, and you will actually begin to master over 70 shortcuts. You will be more efficient with your time and energy. Do you see how my value word, efficient, is in the content that I teach and the products that I'm creating? Years ago, I was setting up for a computer class, and I was getting ready. I was using the keyboard, and a student saw me quickly kind of manipulating and maneuvering using these shortcuts, and she was in awe. And she begged me to create a class to teach her how to do that. At that point, I never thought that this talent was something of value for other people. I never thought of teaching it. I was just being efficient. Well, that's proof that this is a value word of mine. So how can I test my value words to be sure they really are my values? Well, number 1, think about what you're doing on a daily basis. Your value is within what you're doing. Number 2, compare your values to your actions. Number 3, live out your values regardless of your feelings. That's so important. Live out your values regardless of those emotions. And number 4, consider how you evaluate each day. I bet your subliminal self-evaluation is definitely connected to your values. You know, if you follow me and listen to my podcast or my videos, you may recognize some of this information as something else that I speak about often. Thought intelligence, our thought cycle, how we think, thinking differently. So if you're watching here in this video, you'll see behind me the thought cycle. And I talk a lot about this in many of my podcasts, many of my videos, so you can find those episodes as well. If you're not watching video, or if you've never heard of this before, this cycle has been biologically proven by medical professionals and scientists. And it's proving how our brain thinks. Our thoughts will create our emotions, creates our actions, creates our results, and those results create more of our thoughts. It's a cycle, and it happens so quickly. And if you look, the cycle goes clockwise. So really, I could see and I can think about results that I've gotten in life, and I could go backwards and figure out the thoughts I had that helped me get the results, whether it's good or bad. If it's bad, I could figure out the incorrect thoughts that I had, right? Well, earlier I said that values will drive your behavior. Behavior is action. I also said we need to compare our values to our actions. We also need to live out our values regardless of our feelings. Your values are connected to how you think. They create you. They are you. How empowering does it feel to label and figure out, who am I? What is it within me? Choosing your value words is definitely not an easy exercise. It's taken me all year to figure this out. Is it really that important to do? Well, what it's done for me is it's connected me with other people with similar values, and it's also guided my decision making, and it's helped keep me focused. Don't let that shiny object or that fad take my attention. Instead, work in my strengths. Grow who I already am. It's so much more fun and efficient to grow in my strengths. I think you'll enjoy that too. I really hope that this topic today is challenging you to think differently about your personal values. I also hope that you complete this exercise for yourself and you figure out what your value words are. Use your values to direct your path. Be great today, my friends.